U.S. President Donald Trump on December 17th ordered a total and complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering or leaving Venezuela, escalating pressure on President Nicolás Maduro by targeting the country's main source of revenue. After labeling Nicolás Maduro's government a foreign terrorist organization over alleged theft of U.S. assets, terrorism, drug trafficking, and human smuggling, Trump vowed he won't let anybody through Venezuela blockade.
It's the blockade. We're not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Rejecting the move, Maduro vowed defiance, declaring that Venezuela will continue to trade oil, despite Washington's threat to block all tanker traffic. Accusing the U.S. of pursuing warlike and colonial goals, Maduro said Venezuela's natural resources belong to its people, and warned against a U.S.-backed regime change effort.
Venezuela will continue to trade all its products in the spirit of the generation of liberators who rose up fighting against the Guipuzcoan Company. And trade will continue back and forth with our oil and all our natural resources, which by constitution, by Bolivar's decree, our resources, our land and our oil belong to us, to its only legitimate owner for all eternity, which is the sovereign people of Venezuela, who are the absolute owners of the land, of its soil, and of all its wealth. Today I spoke with the Secretary General of the United Nations. We conversed for quite an extended period, and I thoroughly explained to him the escalating pattern of aggressions and the serious threats that were being made. And what has happened yesterday and today when the United States government says that these things belong to them and that we Venezuelans are stealing their oil. In other words, that Venezuelan oil belongs to them. That Venezuelan minerals, gold and all other minerals belong to them. And something we had never heard before, that the lands of Venezuela belong to them and that we have to return them immediately. Quite simply, it is truly an aggressively warlike and expansionist colonialist claim. Furthermore, international law, as I told Secretary Antonio Gutierrez, it protects us because it is fundamentally illegal, according to the established United Nations Charter and all relevant international agreements and conventions, to attempt to prevent the free and unhindered naval trade on the world's vast seas and expansive oceans. The truth has been revealed. Is a regime change being sought in Venezuela to impose a puppet government that wouldn't last even 47 hours, that would come to hand over the constitution, sovereignty, and all the wealth, turning Venezuela into a colony? Quite simply, that is not going to happen. Never, ever. Never, never in the light. Venezuela will never be a colony. Of nothing, of no one. Never.
As both U.S. Venezuela fight tooth and nail over oil, land, drugs, and safeguarding sovereignty, the whole world is watching. From Latin American countries Mexico and Brazil to the U.S.'s friend, Russia, and ally, China, every nation is aware of the developments unfolding in the Caribbean at a rapid pace. Let's look at how the countries are reacting to the warlike situation.
China opposes all forms of unilateral bullying and supports all countries in defending their sovereignty and national dignity. Venezuela has the right to independently develop mutually beneficial cooperation with other countries. We believe the international community understands and supports Venezuela's position in safeguarding its legitimate rights and interests. China supports Venezuela's request to convene an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council.
Well, we see a buildup of tension in the region. We consider this potentially very dangerous. Venezuela is our ally, our partner, and we maintain constant contact, including, as you know, contacts at the highest level. President Putin recently had a phone conversation with President Maduro, And of course, we urge all countries in the region to exercise restraint in order to avoid any unpredictable developments in the situation.
I want to tell you that I'm worried about Latin America. I'm worried about President Trump's actions regarding Latin America, about the threats. You know, I'm worried. We're going to have to stay. We're going to have to stay very alert. We're going to have to stay very alert. You know, with this issue, Mauro, if you travel, don't go far. Let's stay here because who knows, we might need to talk to someone and I'll be here in Brazil. I'm going to travel somewhere very close by. And the challenge I said is this. I want to test a Mercedes-Benz truck over in Hanover.
Beyond any specific opinions and indeed about the current Venezuelan regime and Nicolás Maduro's controversial presidency, setting all of that aside, Mexico's official stance on the matter. It must always and unequivocally be no to any intervention, absolutely no to all foreign interference, a commitment to the peaceful resolution of all conflicts, and a continuous open dialogue for lasting peace. And a call to the United Nations to assume its role. It hasn't been seen. To assume its role in order to prevent this situation, any unnecessary bloodshed, and to always diligently seek the peaceful and diplomatic resolution of all conflicts. Regarding President Trump's statement yesterday and the situation in Venezuela, we reiterate Mexico's position in accordance with the Constitution. No intervention, no foreign interference. The self-determination of all peoples and the peaceful resolution of all disputes are fundamental principles. We unequivocally call for any and all international disputes to be addressed exclusively through constructive dialogue and genuine peace, rather than through any form of external intervention or aggression. That is our position out of conviction and by constitutional mandate. On this topic, let's see here.
Won't there be an effort to seek dialogue or something to help move the region toward peace?
Yes, we can seek that. Obviously, what we would aim for is all the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean. It is essential to guarantee peace and the sovereignty of peoples, which is not only established in the Mexican Constitution, but also forms the basis of international treaties and the foundation of the United Nations organization. It is also critically important that we can always serve as a central and impartial point for constructive negotiation or a convenient meeting place, if the involved parties so genuinely wish. The interested parties would, of course, have to formally propose it to us, and if they do not, then, well, to seek mediators who can help prevent any conflict in the region.
In the event that there were an intervention, a possible intervention by the United States, what would Mexico's role be, President?
No, well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Everyone must be vigilant. The whole world must ensure that there is no intervention and that a peaceful solution is found to any controversy regarding the issue at hand here.